Arguably one of Xbox's most anticipated titles, a legacy franchise and financial risk for Microsoft and Xbox Game Studios. The fantasy RPG Fable is returning, and the world's biggest publisher is having a hard time getting it off the ground. It's been 15 years since the last proper Fable game, and with a card and a Kinect game, the franchise has a long road ahead for returning fans to Albion. The Fable franchise started in 2004 as a big fantasy RPG set in this quirky, cheeky world of Albion. Each game moved the timeline of Albion forward from medieval times all the way to the industrial era. Fable is the brainchild of Peter Molyneux's brilliant British game development under one of Microsoft's few studios at the time, Lionhead. Fable promised dynamic character building, living and breathing settlements, and a story arc that finds you as a hero or a villain, choices that shape the world around you. But the Fable franchise peaked in 2008 with Fable 2, and with Fable 3 in 2010, critically panned and failing to meet sales metrics or please hardcore fans of the franchise. But Microsoft and Lionhead Studios did not give up. At the end of the Xbox 360 generation, Lionhead prepared an ambitious follow-up to Fable 3. Microsoft had other plans, and Lionhead's proposal to create Fable 4 for the Xbox One, called Project Opal, was a sequel starring Jack the Ripper as a Balverine, which is Fable's version of a werewolf. This was turned down by Microsoft in favor of a games-as-a-service title, due likely to the new popular multiplayer games like League of Legends, and Microsoft was pursuing residual revenue streams to match the Halo franchise. Because Microsoft told Lionhead that single-player story narrative-based games were on their way out, Microsoft gave Lionhead Studios an ultimatum to either adapt to a live service Fable game or close the studio. So Lionhead went to work in 2012 on an asymmetrical multiplayer game, Fable Legends, an incredible environmental rendering in-engine and next-generation graphics showcase, a Fable Legends game in development. Although most gameplay is captured at low pre-HD stream quality, Fable Legends was one of the best looking and most impressive visual showcases in the series.
We get in, we get out, swift and smooth. All right, boys and girls, this is where it gets serious.
I'll be taking this.
You like ice with that? You got me! How did we not smell that coming?
Watch yourselves! Olga!
A second screen mobile, PC, and console amalgamation of 4-player online co-op, heroes fighting a godlike, commanding monsters and maneuvering heroes around traps and mobs of enemies. An RTS versus 4-player survival equaled a game that didn't offer either side fun or endurable gameplay. A beta in 2014 and 2016 failed to capture players, and Fable Legends was on a collision course for cancellation, and Lionhead Studios was closed before the game was delayed and canceled. Fable essentially died that day in 2017.
Sadly, this week is starting off on the wrong foot. Fable Legends and Project Knoxville have been canned, and Microsoft is possibly closing Fable developer Lionhead Studios and officially shuttering Press Play Studios. On the big shakeup, Microsoft said, "We have nothing but heartfelt thanks for the members of Lionhead and Press Play for their contributions to Xbox and gaming. We here at The Fix hope those affected land on their feet quickly. It's always sad to see games canceled, but even more so to see studios close."
Then, 6 months later, Microsoft and Xbox bought Playground Games, a studio that made Forza Horizon the most successful and highest rated franchise exclusive to the Xbox platform. Playground Games had made 4 Forza games under their belt and had reportedly been working on an unnamed fantasy RPG during the acquisition to Xbox Game Studios. Microsoft saw this as a perfect opportunity to 1. Right the wrong of closing Lionhead Studios and killing the Fable franchise for nearly a decade, and 2. Betting on a sure thing, which would become a Microsoft staple in the present day. Back in 2019, it was heavily rumored and reported by insiders that Xbox was reviving Fable, and what followed was a massive teaser trailer in 2020 for a Fable reboot, all in next-generation graphics for Xbox Series consoles and PC, with no in-engine rendering and a long wait of 6 years with no release date. In 2019, Xbox had established a dedicated Fable or RPG studio in the UK. A separate studio from the Forza Horizon team, Playground now had 2 studios and began backfilling the new RPG studio with veteran developers from Rockstar, Naughty Dog, and even bringing in Eidos Montreal to co-develop the next Fable game. Playground hired Anne McGill, a former developer from Remedy Entertainment, a lead narrative writer for Fable, who's also working on Cyberpunk 2. Even though this Fable game had been in concept as early as 2018, it was reported by March 2023 that the game was in early stages of full production. And by 2024, we had seen a combined total of 45 seconds of actual in-engine, in-game combat. Even though all of the footage we've seen was in-engine renderings of cinematics and beauty shots of slow walking, the gameplay and the gameplay mechanic and loop for Fable is still a mystery. Fable has been in the works for 8 years, with that full production being 3 years, and the head of studios, Craig Duncan, announced that Fable was delaying from its 2025 target to 2026. Except this announcement was way back at the beginning of 2025, which means Playground Games didn't feel confident they could make a target of 9 months, and it's very likely Fable is hoping to land in the window of late 2026 amidst a packed Xbox schedule, with Gears E-Day and the Halo Campaign Evolved game coming in October and November respectively. Xbox has previously stated that the development of Fable is prioritizing polish over speed, a hallmark that Xbox studios do not normally adhere to, rushing games even after delays, missing features, or failing to live up to competitors' quality and reviews. In 2025, Turn 10 Studios, the team behind Forza Motorsport, was set to co-develop the next Forza Horizon game, with some of the team members being spilled over to work on Fable. The other problem is that the game engine itself, Fable, is being built in Forza Tech Engine, a game engine that powers Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon, which can facilitate large-scale worlds with photorealistic landscapes but very light RPG mechanics. One of the major advantages of the Forza Tech Engine is Playground's previous work in 2018 for Forza Horizon 4. It's being reported that Fable will have changing seasons and dynamic weather, which created very convincing results in Forza several years ago. The ability to change the world on the fly also lends to a rumor that Fable will span several eras. Could it be possible that we play as more than one character across a spanning timeline in Fable? But the limited developers that come to work for Playground Games to learn to work on something other than the Unreal Engine is reportedly creating friction and delayed development time. And midway through production, there was a rumored infighting at Playground Games to shift the entire project to Unreal Engine, and fans of the series were ready to expect an impending cancel announcement. But Xbox boldly announced major layoffs in 2025 and stated explicitly that games recently showcased were not being canceled, and that the update and gameplay tease for Fable was meant to ensure fans that Fable would actually survive the cut. But anything that isn't a sure bet, with the sword of Microsoft hanging over expensive game development, means Fable is still a questionable release. But there is one major elephant in the room that has never been addressed by Playground Games. And that is the controversial metamorphosis of the singular female player character portrayed by Lily Nichols. But given bushier eyebrows, a snaggletooth, and a rugged, inheroistic countenance, Playground Games purposely gave her a grounded and non-fantasy aesthetic. And half of the audience has boycotted the game, seeing it as agenda-driven. Playground Games has refused to show the traditional counterpart male playable character, leading most to believe that this female hero is the Arthur Morgan of the title, to tell her story with no option to play as a male. I tried to reach out to sources close to Playground Games to find out if indeed we will traditionally be able to choose to play as a male or female, with no answer. Players generally expect to play as the heroic characters in a fantasy game, and the Fable series has always been high fantasy with storybook styling, not a grounded medieval realism full of grit. In 2024, Fable's latest trailer did seem to smooth out some of the rough edges a bit on Lily Nichols' character, but it's very likely that the skin tone and hair type and color may be the only options for players, and this has definitely caused a large chunk of vocal detractors to dismiss Fable entirely. Craig Duncan describes Fable as having, quote, amazing gameplay with the most realized incarnation of the world of Albion yet. They are promising to deliver a true AAA RPG experience, which is something that has arguably eluded Microsoft since the Xbox 360 days, at least when it comes to story-based, character-driven games. A tall order from a studio that was established to build RPGs just 6 years ago. There's one more wrench in the gears for Fable's release in 2026, and that is the new announcement that Grand Theft Auto 6 was moved to November 19th, 2026. If Xbox Studios said that at the beginning of 2025 that their release date wouldn't be for another 9 months, how can we expect Fable to release in early 2026? Playground's other problem is the rumor that Forza Horizon 6 from their racing team studio is releasing their game in May, which means if Fable is going to hit spring, it would have to land sometime in the same quarter as Forza Horizon 6. If Playground Games needs the additional time to launch at the end of the year, landing next to Grand Theft Auto would exceedingly harm sales and growth of the game, needing at least 1 to 2 month birth from Rockstar's juggernaut. This is why it is more likely that Microsoft and Xbox will delay Fable to early 2027. This means the team had an additional 12 months is reasonable, but with how little they've communicated about combat, semi-open world gameplay, or any other mechanics, fans are doubtful that Fable comes out early in the year in 2026. Xbox has a developer direct planned for January, and this is where insiders are expecting to get a full 10 to 20 minute reveal and breakdown of Fable with a possible release date. But will Fable be ultimately canceled? And will the Fable curse come to full fruition? First of all, the delay is most likely taking advantage of the new multi-platform approach so that Playground Games can co-develop a PlayStation 5 port along with the Xbox and PC version. Fable is in the best possible hands with the award-winning Playground Games and the funding and backing of Microsoft. But the reveal in 2020 and a long 6 to 8 year development cycle has eroded away all confidence, even with Fable being Xbox's most anticipated title. The Fable curse is real, and the prolonged silence, refusal to address major concerns, and continued vagueness across multiple trailers has fans of the Fable franchise anxious to see what they show us next. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I can't believe we waited 7 years for Fable, and I hope we see something at the January Developer Direct, and I really hope the game is supposed to come out in the early part of 2026, because I really, truly feel like if they don't come out early in the year, they're going to push it into 2027, and that's the last thing I want, because this is one of my most anticipated games from Xbox Game Studios. If you ended up enjoying this video and learned something about the franchise and the development, Show your support by hitting like and subscribe to the channel. Also, you can hit the join button if you want to get early access for videos. Like this one was early access for members some 12 hours before it went live. You'll be the first one in the chat with special badges. Also, you can check out the Patreon if you want to join the Xbox chat club, talk about all of this stuff, and also check out the Superclass if you want to learn how to do production and have your own podcast and graphic design and all these things I do, one-on-one training. Check out the XNC Podcast. That's a weekly podcast that runs every Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. There we'll break down all the news and rumors and talk about more nuanced discussion about everything happening in the games industry. Let me know what you think about Fable and when you expect the actual release date to be for the game, and are you excited? Let me know in the comment section, and as you do, as I always say, please be nice.